Okay, it's my great pleasure to introduce Mary Story, founder of the Rosie May Think Pink Foundation.
Hi everybody, thank you for coming to listen to what I've got to say and listen to my story, which will basically show you how we've got from this to this. I'm going to start right at the beginning, and that is really to tell you how the foundation was started. So we founded in 2004 following the murder of my 10-year-old daughter, Rosie May. She was brutally murdered at a family party, and following that, we decided the following year, the year after, we decided to actually get away from the UK, from home, to escape the horrific recollections of that evening. So we went to Southeast Asia, and we wanted to go somewhere where Christmas wasn't celebrated in the sense of the word that it is here. Obviously, being a 10-year-old girl, she loved Christmas. So we wanted to escape all of that. So we stood on the shore of an island on Boxing Day. And we were waiting to get onto a dive boat with our two sons, because we'd learned to dive as kind of like a distraction, really. And we watched the ocean come in as a surge. And so this was December 2004, and this was the Asian 2004 tsunami. And we watched that wave come in and realised that something wasn't right. And when we realised mostly was when the wave receded, because it was like somebody had pulled a plug. It just literally went out as far as you could see to the horizon. It left fish flapping on the shore. It left the 10-metre reef exposed where we learned to dive. And our diving instructor was saying, this is not right, there's something drastically wrong, this is not right. And by this time, the staff on the island were getting calls from family and friends at home. A lot of them were Sri Lankan, staff were Sri Lankan, and they were getting calls from Sri Lanka saying, it's an earthquake, it's a tsunami, it's already hit us, because there was actually a 30-minute gap between it hitting Sri Lanka and hitting Maldives. And I remember not having actually heard of the word tsunami, and I turned to my 14-year-old son and said, what's a tsunami? And he said, Mum, it's a wave caused by an earthquake underneath the sea. The wave's going to come back. And so we were strangely calm, bizarrely calm, as all this was happening. You can imagine the chaos around you. And, we just kind of started bagging sand and, helping to barricade ourselves into the centre of the island, because obviously we knew this wave would come back. And basically, the wave did come back, and it kind of just washed over the island, because we were on the lagoon side of the island, we weren't on the ocean side of the island. But literally, the day before, on Christmas Day, we planted a tiny little palm tree in Rosie May's memory. And so after the wave had obliterated the island, it had taken out the legs off water bungalows, it had pulled the decking up where the seaplanes land. We went round, looking for this palm tree, thinking there's no way this palm tree will be here. And we found it. And there it was. It stood absolutely perfectly with debris swirling all around it. And that for us was our inspiration for the Rosie May Foundation, because we felt that Rosie May had kept us safe. And so we came back on one of the first emergency flights into Manchester and sat and watched the death tolls rise on the TV, because when you're there, you don't kind of understand the enormity of it all, because obviously all the comms are down, you don't get any communications. So we were reported missing actually in the Daily Mail, by the Daily Mail. So for our families, it was, you know, a very traumatic time. And so we came back and watched the death toll rise on the TV, and we had money that people had given to us from actually all over the world. So although, thankfully, child murders are rare in the UK, they are very high profile in the media. So people just sent us money in good faith for our family. We didn't feel comfortable using that money, so we decided to, well, my father-in-law actually opened an account, we put the money in there, we gave half of it to Sheffield Paediatric Intensive Care, where Rosie may spend the last 48 hours of her life, and then we still had half of this amount of money left. And we thought, well, maybe this is something we can do with the money, because we kind of identified with the loss and the bereavement and the grief that these people, you know, were suffering because of the tsunami. And not only had they lost loved ones, they'd lost their homes, they lost everything. So that was the start of the Rosie May Foundation, and our very first project was a children's home called the Rosie May Home, which was for girls who had been orphaned as a result of the tsunami. And we ran that for 12 years, and we learned while working with children in residential care that actually 80%, over 80% in fact, of these girls, although they were called orphans, they weren't orphans in the true sense. Most of them had at least one living relative, and those living relatives were mostly single parent mums. So we then started questioning, well, you know, why are they there? And they were there, of course, because the mums didn't have the income to be able to look after their own children. And with there being no social security net, then obviously they were faced with the heartbreaking decision of having to put their children into an orphanage, thinking that when they got themselves back onto their feet, they would go and get them. But you know, these children then get stuck in the system, communications break down between parents, the mums couldn't afford the bus fares to go and visit their children, so actually the families are separated, and you know, those connections are often lost, and these parents never actually reconnect with the children again. So we decided to do a community outreach project, which got to the root cause of this problem and identified these women before they got to this crisis situation. So it's all about economic empowerment and basically helping women to become independent so that they can care for their own children. And so we basically started off with the kind of traditional skills that women would do. So, you know, tailoring, sewing, broom making, etc., etc. But we found that this actually didn't give them the income they needed. So whilst travelling between Sri Lanka and Nepal, where we have projects, I came into Dubai, into the airport one morning. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was on my own. When I came out of the airport, there was a women's taxi rank for women. I don't know whether anybody else has seen it, but they have pink roofs and they have pink. Women wear pink headscarves. And I thought, wow, this is incredible. This can be done here. It can be done in Sri Lanka, and that was my inspiration to start women driving for women in Sri Lanka, but using tuk-tuks as the transport of choice, because they are obviously the cheapest transport. So that's what we did. And what this did for the women was gave them a proper income, because they were obviously doing a man's job in a man's world and earning good money to be able to look after their families. So a fleet of tuk-tuks in Sri Lanka. We've also got a fleet that we've just started in Nepal as well, along the same lines. And so then it was always my vision to bring that concept over here to the UK. So we started in Nottingham, which is my hometown. It just seemed the most sensible thing to do, because obviously we had all the contacts, people know about the charity, we had the media connections. So we partnered with a fleet, one of the biggest fleets in Nottingham, and we have been working together to get women into their fleet. And so that is Think Pink, and we operate in a way that it's not just about helping fleets to recruit women to address the driver's shortage, but it's about retention. It's about retaining those drivers within that fleet, which is obviously key for any fleet. So how we do that is we create a community of drivers that becomes actually self-supportive. So the women can begin to support each other. If they have issues, if they, want to go on their break, they can meet up with another woman driver. And we have regular coffee mornings for them, so again they can meet each other, because they do feel otherwise very isolated working in a male-dominated environment. And our retention rate currently runs at 94% of those drivers that we've got on the road. And I think that's testimony to Think Pink providing a supportive community that continues to encourage these women to drive. And so now, we're in a position where we developed that concept, and we're in a position where we are looking for more fleet partners to collaborate with and to get more women on the road across the UK, and get that percentage up from, what is it at the moment, Rachel, do you think now?
That's
7, from 7%. Let's get that percentage up and get more women on the road. And, so that's what we're all about. So if anybody's interested in talking to us, we're on our stand with the pink tuk-tuks. You can't miss them. The pink tuk-tuks, by the way, are the exact tuk-tuks that you saw on the photo. They're exactly what the women drive in Sri Lanka as taxis. Come and have your photograph with them. And more importantly, come and have a glass of Prosecco with us, because the bar's open. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary.